Welcome to Sisters Conversations Podcast with your hostess, Latrice Carter. We feature interviews in literary, film, and television, as well as real topics that impact the Black community.
Welcome to Sisters Conversations with Latrice Carter. I am your hostess and CEO of Sisters Place. In our author spotlight today, our guest is Shalonda Treasure Williams. She is a prophet, author, certified life coach, inspirational speaker, and media personality. Man, I'm smiling just saying all of this. My sister, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you are so welcome. And I love that, that your middle name here is Treasure. That says a whole lot, especially with us being in Women History Month. You are a part of history. You know what I'm saying?
Well, so I've been told. I guess I am, huh? When you begin to look back on some of the things you've accomplished, you're kind of like, yeah, man, I guess I am. That's kind of dope.
Yes, it is. So tell our listeners who don't know about you, tell our listeners a little bit about who Shalonda Treasure Williams is.
Well, let me say that my birth middle name is definitely something different, but the name Treasure was a God-given name. Mm-hmm. And so who Shalonda Treasure Williams is the birth of that individual, the one who really lived with a whole lot of self-esteem issues and things like that until God had to point out the fact that I'm still his treasure, even beneath all my dirt. And so I've become that minister, that author, that media personality that lives a life really of transparency and to be able to help other people to understand exactly who they are. So Shalonda Treasure Williams is the treasure that helps other treasures find themselves. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense.
That makes good sense. And you know what? Young women today, as well as women in general, we need to be reminded that we are God's treasure. We don't need to allow society to define who we are. And that's beautiful that you do that. That is truly a gift.
Oh, it's a gift and it's a blessing. It's like it's like a pay it forward in a sense, except we get to really work on people's everything from the inside out. It's like, knowing who you are from the inside out. And so we'll talk a little bit more about the book later, I know, but there's a particular chapter in that book that speaks to this particular statement because I had to realize that God loved me so much that even without gloves on his hand, he can still handle me. Most people don't feel like a treasure because we deal with people every day that treat us like we're not, right? Mm-hmm. That we're filthy, that we're dirty. They don't want to handle us. And when they try to handle us, they got to make sure they got gloves on, right? But he's the God that handles us dirt and everything. And so when he talks about us being a treasure, he really means it. Like, even beneath the dirt, you still have the value. Now I just need to pick you up and dust you off. But I can do that without shrinking back from you. I can do that with my whole self. And so we definitely need to know more about the treasure that we are. And he is good for teaching us that. That's for sure.
Yes, he is. Now, tell us about your latest release. The title is Nah, I'm Not Okay. Excuse me while I unmask. Now, I love the title. It speaks for itself, but I know there's a story behind this title. But tell us a little bit about this latest release.
Yes, definitely. So now I'm not okay. Don't forget the 3 W's. You got to make sure you draw that thing out a little bit because the reality is, right, people ask us how we're doing all the time, right? And then we'd be like, oh, well, I'm okay, or no, I'm not okay. But when you really, really want to be like, nah, I'm not okay. I'm not good. Everything is messing up. Everything is chaotic. Everything is going the way it wants to go and not the way I need it to. And so, no, I'm not okay. And excuse me while I unmask. Let me tell you why I'm not. Let me tell you why I wasn't. Let me tell you what really disturbed me. Let me tell you what really changed my life and made me feel as if I was unworthy and not lovable, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you talk about not being okay, a part of what God showed me before he allowed me to use this title, because I was kind of amped. I talk like this all the time. I just talk normal. So when he said I could use the title, "No, I'm not okay," I was like, yes, but what does it mean? And so then he began to show me a lot of the ministers and preachers and teachers who were committing suicide because their lives were a wreck. You know, they were going through mental health issues, or they were dealing with loss, or they were dealing with whatever. But because we kind of are in the body of Christ, you don't even know whether you can be transparent or not. And so most people hide what they're truly feeling. And so this was sort of my psalm. You know what I mean? Like my David conversations with God. Like, I'm not good. This is what I'm really feeling like, you know. And so people need to be able to relate and understand that they can talk to God the same way. Therefore, they don't have to end their lives. They don't have to give up on life altogether, because there's so much more left. But you got to start with being able to be honest enough with yourself to say that I'm not good, and let's start from here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So how did that title come to you? Because that is, you know, this title stands out.
Yeah, it does. And that's really, to be totally honest with you, I was just laying still. And, you know, I'm very reflective, and I'm kind of prayerful all throughout my days. And I was just laying still, and I just heard it. No, I'm not okay. And then I asked God, literally, I'm like, is that a title? Can I use that? Like, use it, because this is what my children are really feeling like. You know, they don't need the proper way of saying it when everything in you feels raw and cut up. You understand? When you already feel raw and cut up on the inside, nothing seems perfect. So why I gotta walk around sounding perfect? Why do I have to walk around sounding like, you know, I'm just pretending, and I'm you know, mask after mask after mask after mask. You can't possibly be okay underneath all those masks. You're not breathing right. It's restricting your breathing. It's restricting your mouth. You can't even talk. It's restricting your eyesight. Because if you ever had on one of those masquerade masks, you know that thing squeezed your eyeballs shut. So you really can't even breathe. You can't breathe. You can't talk. You can't see. So it's not doing you any justice at all. And so we just have to get to the point where we can be honest enough with God. And I said again, these are my psalms. That's how David was with God. You know what I mean? Like, Father, they chasing me. They at my back. I need you to show up. I'm feeling like this. I'm feeling like that. He was very honest. And because he was honest, he was named, and he was repentant. He was named to be a man after God's own heart. God is not afraid of our honesty. We're afraid of our honesty.
We got to be true to ourselves. Got to be true. Speak that truth. Absolutely. So what inspires you to write?
If I could be real honest with you, I don't think I necessarily wanted to write. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mind. I was a poet growing up when I was a kid. I still do write spoken word and stuff every now and again. But, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you this backstory. So in 2007, I had been abstinent for like a while. I had been abstinent for a good while. Because, you know, my struggle, and when you read the book, people will know what my struggle has been. And so my struggle was sex. I had a sexual addiction growing up. And I was promiscuous, very promiscuous. And so anytime that I would rededicate myself back to the Lord, just throw myself back at him, I would really try my hardest to like just stay abstinent, you know, and I was for a good bit of time. And then I had a weekend, right? And during this weekend, I got pregnant with not just my first child, my second child, my third child, but with my fourth child. And so I was really in a bad place, because I was dedicated to the church I was going to. You know, I was singing in the choir. I was just really enjoying this time of my life. And when I first joined this church, I joined this church pregnant with my third child, right? So I was trying to get it together, trying to do the best I could. And I ended up getting pregnant. And so I stole away from church. I didn't go to church for like a whole month. I was contemplating getting an abortion with my son. And it was just a whole bunch going on. And so a sister friend of mine came to my house one day, and she came to check up on me, but she like gave me the business in a sense, in her own little subtle way. And she was like, okay, so you pregnant. Okay, so you slipped up again. Okay, but you, and she just really was just feeding it to me like, okay, so now what do you do? What are you going to do? Are you just going to lay here? Are you just going to just wallow in it? Are you going to get back up again? My pastor at the time called me. Listen, literally, he called me within hours of me making my abortion appointment to say, I miss you. We miss you. Where are you? What are you doing? And so I took this as God's cue of saying, no, you're not going to do this. You don't even believe in that in the first place. I need you to get back up again. I need you to get back up again, and I need you to write. And I was like, I can't write no more, because right before that, I had written a book that was biblically based, and then I got pregnant, right? Because God had just said, right. So now God is telling me, write inmates, write this person, encourage these people. Whatever you do to write, that's what you do. And so from that day forward, from 2007 up until this time, every book that I write is a form of inspiration as opposed to, dictation, right? Telling people how they should live, how they shouldn't live. But he taught me how to write to inspire. And so I guess because when I talk, I inspire, it made writing a little bit easier for me, if that makes sense. But during the time when I was at my lowest, one of my lowest points, he told me to keep writing. And so now, even if I wanted to quit, I couldn't. I couldn't.
Because you got to obey God. When he say do something, we got to do it. That's
Absolutely.
Right. Absolutely. So what would you consider your main demographic or audience?
My main demographic or audience probably would be those that are broken, those that are lost, those that feel like they cannot give voice, to what they're dealing with and what they're feeling, because they feel like they have to say it in the proper manner. And then they run into a whole person like me who just, and as much as, as God will move, he will say, I preach, I prophesy, I teach, I cast out devils, I heal, you know what I mean? We do all these things that God has told us to do. But when it comes time to a real conversation, that's what many of them need to have. Not, the message of, condemnation and, oh, you're never going to be good enough. No, they need a real live conversation of, yep, that hurt. Yes, you're down, but no, you're not going to stay down. Absolutely. If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So that's definitely those people.
Absolutely. So why this message at this time? I know we're still in a global pandemic. So why this message during this time?
I think it's kind of dope. As a matter of fact, I actually wrote the book back in 2019. It was released on my birthday, July 11th, right? But I think it's kind of dope that I'm talking about unmasking while we got to be masked up.
You know what? That is dope.
Yeah, it is dope. I think that the fact that God is spreading the message even more so now than he did then, I think is super amazing, because now we really get to talk to people about what it feels like to be masked and to unmask when they can relate for real. Because when you know how Jesus taught in parables, right? And so when we relate what a mask feels like, 'cause most of the time when we put these masks on right now, we totally can't breathe, right? And I wear glasses. Glasses, so when I'm wearing mine, my glasses get fogged up. So not only do I get tired and I lose my breath, I can't really breathe underneath this thing. I'm breathing in my own germs and my own whatever, right? And then my glasses are being fogged up, so my vision is being restricted. And so when I share this message of unmasking with people and I relate it to where we are now, they can understand. This is layers we have to take off. Because you're literally sitting here suffocating, turning blue in the face behind the mask, but nobody can't even tell you dying.
Yep.
Because you're masked. And so I think it's kind of dope. I just think the whole concept just works. So let's just work it.
It's like perfect timing. Perfect timing. It is.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about what makes your story stand out from all the others. Everyone's writing, about unmask and, not making excuses anymore. What makes this book stand out from all the others?
Honestly, I think the title alone stands out. And I think the title alone makes people stop and say, that's exactly how I'm feeling right now. Right? When we go into the pages of the book, I write poetry in the book. I wrote it in journal entry form, right? And so I didn't write it as a typical let's go through the chapters type of book, right? I didn't write it as a 1, 2, 3 step type of book. I wrote it as a testament or a testimony, first of all, not just a memoir in the sense of, okay, let me go from age of this or that or the other, and then let's tell it in sequence. Even though I went age-based at the beginning, I wrote it as if I was talking directly to God.
Okay.
Not like I'm talking directly to you. Does that make sense? So, dear God of the ungloved hands, dear God of the hopscotch dad, right? Dear God, that I really love you, but I need you to turn your face right now because what I'm about to do, you don't really want to see. You know what I mean? Like, I talked to him as if I was just being the friend that he is to me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And with the very first chapter, it's about when I was 6 years old. And basically, I'm saying, dear God, that everybody else talks about, but I don't even know if you're real right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? How real is that for me to be able to say, well, if you are real, how come you didn't call somebody to blow their horn at the time that this stuff started happening? How come you didn't make my aunties come out their meeting real quick because they needed to get something out the car? Or, you know, how come you didn't do this? And so I'm basically talking to him and really having conversation. And that's what many people need to be able to do. So the title makes the book stand out. And the way that it's written, the words that are from me in poetry form, but also the fact that I'm talking to God, I'm not telling you to be me. I'm showing you an example of how to communicate with him so that you can be free.
Beautiful, beautiful. So who is the one person in your life you would say has influenced you to be the woman that you are today?
So that would probably be a combination of people. And the first thing that everybody most of the time wants to say is, oh, my mom. And I will not take that from her, right? I have to piggyback on that. But definitely a combination of people. My mom, she taught me to live out this heart that I have, right? Because society makes you hard when you really are soft, right? When you're a lover, society and situations and circumstances make you tough, right? They make you, well, I'm not going to say they make you, I'm going to say they cause you, or they try to get a reaction and you respond, right? So we respond to the situations. We become hard because you want to be protective over yourself. Well, my mom was the one who taught me that, like, you are a believer. You believe in the Father, you believe in Jesus Christ. And so you can't just say you believe in them and not live it out in some way. My mom taught me how to forgive. You know, she taught me how to when I say forgive, she was stabbed 7 times, and within months we spoke to the man at McDonald's that stabbed her, right? And she made me speak. It's kind of, you know, she practiced, but it's because it was within her. And so she taught me how to be that person. You know, she was the mom that didn't have a lot to give me, but when I would come home from school, it would be like a card on the bed and a new outfit, but it wasn't nothing major, but the card meant everything, right? Because she was telling me how much she loved me. She never missed a beat. And so even when I knew she didn't fully understand who I was growing up, because I'm so my daddy's daughter, she still just taught me anyway how to be a woman who loves without apology. And so I definitely had to give that to her. And then my sisters, my biological sisters, and then sisters that God has brought me. My biological sisters, everybody's older than me. Let me go ahead and say that. Like, I'm way at the bottom. Everybody is from 8 years on up to 20 years younger than me. I mean, older than me, right? And so my sisters became this example, and these people who decided that no matter how young you are, you're gifted, you're called, and God said it, and that's what it is, right? So they allowed me to realize that age wasn't anything but a number, and that I'm still qualified to be who I am and to walk this thing out. My sister Rebecca, that passed away last year, February, she would be one of those ones that would call if I felt like quitting and be like, so what you think you're doing? You know, that kind of thing. Like, you know, and she was 14 years older than me, 13 years older than me, and she never let me forget that you are exactly who God called you to be. She was so like the person who would put me in the room with people just to see if I was going to feel something and begin to prophesy, on vacation. She's that type. She believed in me that much, though. You understand what I mean? And so those type of people influence you to just play full out. You know, even when you feel like you are nothing at all, they require something of you because of how they see you, right? And then they teach you how to walk as that person without apology. So those are my influences.
Those are beautiful influences because, you know, they truly sowed that seed in you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. Now, I have a bonus question that I didn't send to you. We've been in this global pandemic for a year. Tell me what has this pandemic taught you, and what did you learn about yourself?
So that I love flow questions, by the way. So I'm not shook
Cool.
by your by your question. I'm good. I'm hang on there. Okay, so this pandemic has really been a mess for most people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just universally, especially because I'm prophetic, I feel the cries and the moans of the earth. It's like, you feel every bit of agony. It's been death after death after death, right? And people have been losing a lot. But one thing that God has shown me is that He's the God of duality. In other words, everything can be totally jacked up in the earth, and I can still be blessing you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I mentioned my sister who died in February of last year. Well, it was the worst thing that could have ever happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
But pandemic hit that March.
Yep.
And if she had tarried any longer, we would not have been able to bury her. We would not have been able to come say our goodbyes. We wouldn't, you know what I mean? Any of that stuff. And so I was really at my lowest place when the pandemic hit.
Mm-hmm.
I was already sick. I was sick in my body. I was grieving. I was going through the motions. And then come May, like, God just totally blows my mind and sends me love, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then after love happened, then He began to open up doors for new opportunities. And then after that, God began to make everything pan out financially in a way that I never thought that it could happen. I knew He could do it, but it was one of those, okay, will He do it for me? And He began to show me that, listen, all you want is to be able to give. All you want is to be able to be stable. I got that.
Okay.
I told you that I'm storing up your seed. I told you, Shalonda, that when I open up the windows of heaven for you, everybody is going to know that it's me. And so in the midst of this pandemic, God has been the dual God, because people have been losing lives and stuff, and we've buried family members, and we've prayed over people that they would get their livelihood back. And then at the same time, you turn around and you check a text message, and somebody wants to interview that you ain't even asked them to interview you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or somebody wants to order 10 books, or somebody wants to order 20. And at one time, I could only get 2 people to purchase a book on the release date.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean?
Look at God.
Yes, and that's exactly what. So what He's taught me is that, Shalonda, even in the midst of calamity, I'm still the God that promised you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even in the midst of the worst circumstance in the universe, and people may think that, oh, we're being uppity or you being boastful. I'm not being boastful. I just got to give Him glory, because He's the God that still promised. Yes. And so what He taught me about myself is that not only can you be transparent with other people for their deliverance, but you can be transparent with yourself. And so when I was going through the season where my sister had just left, and my book tour stopped that January before she died, and I got sick. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like I was anticipating without, her death. Like, God was preparing me, making me rest, stuff like that for her death to come. And then God taught me, like, you can be transparent with me. During this time, I told God I was angry with Him. I told God that I don't feel like doing what you say do right now, because, she had some of the greatest faith I ever seen in my life. And if you didn't answer her, then why am I still? I went through the motions. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so He says to me in the midst of all of this, that's okay. I can take your truth.
Yep.
Man, it was so powerful. So He taught me that He's the God of duality. I can do 2 things at once. I can allow one thing because judgment has to come, right? I need to show people that, because I told y'all, don't have no other God before me. And obviously y'all not listening. And so now you got to come back and cry out. But at the same time, those that I promised would receive are still going to receive exactly what I said when I said. And you, my daughter, can be just as transparent and open with me as you can with the person that you're sitting next to right now, that you consider to be your best friend and your love. Do you understand? I need you to have that conversation with me, and you can. And I'll accept it. I'll accept it because I love you and I'm your dad. So that's what He taught me during this season. And it's been a beautiful experience, but the highs and lows don't go away. Life don't stop.
That's right.
Right? Life keeps going. but we got to be able to take everything for what it is. And we can't magnify something over it. In other words, I could have easily took the pain that I was going through and then added it in with everything that was happening with the pandemic. And then I could have just totally shut down, and I would have never sent the text message in the first place that got me to the place that I am now, right? Yep. I could have, just totally shut down to the point where I wasn't willing to accept the message back. Simply checking on you, that's it. I don't even want to have no more conversation. And that would have been the end of a situation. But God shows us and highlights things to us and gives us pecks on the cheek, even when we're in the lowest places. But he's still the God that can do exactly what he promised.
Yes, he is. Because God keeps his promises. He will never go back on his promise.
He does. And I think that we don't understand it because we go through things in life, right? Because we go through circumstances. Many people feel like, like they could be living the most jacked up lifestyles, and then all of a sudden they turn their life around and they good for like a month or 2 or 3, maybe a year, and all of a sudden they feel like they ain't never supposed to go through nothing. Like, God, why is all this happening? Like, see the difference between when we're out there doing things on our own accord and when we have given our life over to God. See, we both look at the same circumstances. The difference is how we respond to those circumstances. And so you could be going through the worst time ever when you ain't gave your life to the Lord, but then you can go and try to fix it by any means necessary. You do what you feel like doing to fix your situation. But when you're seeing it from your God perspective, then you pause, you have faith, and you wait, or you wait for strategy. And see, it makes people feel uneasy. It makes them feel like they have no control. But when we sit and we say, okay, God, what is it that you want from me? What is it that you're desiring from me? What is it that I'm supposed to learn in this season, gain in this season, lose in this season? Then you can look at life from a totally different set of lenses.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is good. That is very good. I like that. So as a woman, and this is Women's History Month, what advice would you like, or words would you like to share with our female audience, given it's Women's History Month?
Make history. I mean, like, it may sound simple, but you said when we first jumped on here, you said you're a part of history, right? Yes. And I think that sometimes we forget that we can make a mark too. We watch a lot of people soar. We watch a lot of people do a lot of great things, but I think we feel like we're not where they are, or our purpose is not their purpose, so we can't make a mark. But let me talk to the mother who's raised some phenomenal kids. Or even if you raised kids and you did the best that you could, and some of them decided to go one way and the others decided to go the other way, I need you to know that you made a mark. You are a part of history forever. Now, your children will forever have you embedded in their heart, in their mind, in their soul, because you made a difference in their life, whether you believe it or not. I'm going to talk to the women that are teaching school, the ones who retired without feeling like they did everything they were supposed to do, but yet there are people like me that still remember the Miss Morgans and the Miss Whites and the Miss Scotts of the world, right? Who poured into me and did not let me fall off when I was in school. I remember. So you made history. I'm going to talk to those people who've been writing books forever, and it seems like nobody's reading them, nobody's buying them, but yet there's this one person, these 2 people that read your book, and their life was forever changed because they read your book. You have now made history. So I just want to tell you that it's okay for you to own the fact that you are a history maker. Okay. I mean, it's absolutely okay that you're going to be in somebody magazine someday. It is absolutely okay that you right now are starting out with a little small studio where you're only teaching 3 or 4 kids how to dance. And then eventually those 3 or 4 kids are going to grow up and be on Broadway. I want to let you know that it's okay for you to make history. It's okay. It's okay to make history. God's proud of you.
Okay. I like that. Go ahead now. Gonna make me shout over here, girl.
My God, it's powerful though, because I felt chills all through my body. I mean, I believe that people really, really need to know that sometimes it's the smallest things. It's the smallest things that make the biggest impact. Yes. You know what I mean? It's the smallest things that make the biggest impact. And I don't even know why I even want to share this, but sometimes it's when you show up in the middle of the night for the people who felt like nobody would ever show up.
Yep.
Right? And now they remember that one thing.
Yep.
If they don't remember anything else, you done made history in this person's life. And that one thing caused them to go and pay it forward, or be there for somebody else, or learn how to be a better giver, or learn how to be a better friend, simply because you made that one mark in their life. You can make history. And you don't have to be ashamed of it. We're not talking about being boastful, and we're not talking about, trying to make it seem like you're just the best thing that ever lived or walked the earth. No, you just realize that, man, one to another, I can make a difference. And it's okay, because God equipped me to be able to make a difference. So that's definitely what I feel. Go ahead and make history. Make history. It's okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So how can our listeners learn more about you and connect with you, as well as where can they get a copy of your book?
So if you go to theinspirationaltreasure.com, theinspirationaltreasure.com, you can get the book there. You can connect with me there. Please follow me on all social media outlets. Listen, because you got to keep up with what's going on. You feel me? So when we having the conferences, when we're having, as a matter of fact, there's a new book coming out May 1st. And it's called Own Your Glow. And so you got to be able to keep up with that to find out when we're releasing it, what we're doing concerning it. So connect with me on all social media at Inspirational Treasure, and that's inspirational without the I in the front. You go to the website, you got an I. You go to social media, no I.
Okay. And I will make sure I drop that information in our podcast group on Facebook, and so that you all can connect with her. So Shalonda, what's next with you after, you got another book coming out in May? Are you on a book tour? What's happening? What's going on?
Listen, God done hijacked my whole book tour and turned it into a revival. So we are doing Unmask and Revive. I just left Jacksonville a couple of weeks ago, and I'll be heading to La Plaza, Louisiana at the end of this month, where we are doing an Unmask and Revive, because even though, you come into the building to unmask and you get delivered and all that, but what's next? Now you need to be revived. You need to be refreshed. You need that CPR, right? So you can breathe right, breathe again. And so God has not only turned it into or allow me to go and sign a book, but he wants me to be able to minister and to do what he called me to do in the fullness and the entirety. On May 1st, when I do release the book, I have not released the flyer yet, but I will be having an empowerment virtual seminar on that day for the release of the book. And so that's going to be pretty powerful. Come July, I am scheduled to do my first stage production surrounding No, I'm Not Okay. And that's going to be on my birthday, July 11th this year. That's when it's scheduled for. So, yeah, you really just got to keep up to be able to know everything that's happening. But it's a few things popping.
Okay. And my fellow Cancer, hello.
Yeah. When is your birthday?
July 3rd, baby.
Okay.
Look, I knew that's why. Look, there's a reason we clicked. That's that fellow Cancer sister.
That emotional, gotta care for everybody, nurture the world person. So yes, absolutely.
Yes. So I want to close the show out with this powerful quote from Michelle Obama. I love her to death. Mm-hmm. She says, "There's power in allowing yourself to be known and heard, in owning your unique story, in using your authentic voice." And that is so perfect for this show, talking to
that was absolutely perfect. You just, dang, I don't think I've heard that one, but that just summed up everything that we just said, everything. So that was perfect. Hats off to that beautiful, phenomenal woman, Michelle Obama. She's been amazing just as a individual in the world, not even just as the, first lady, but just as a person. She's been amazing. I'm walking around with her in my purse right now.
I know, right?
My purse with her pictures on it. Yep. So definitely, thank you so much for sharing that quote with us.
Oh, you are so welcome. And, I wish you much success. All that you do, we will definitely stay connected. let me know when, when the next book drops. We can share the flyer in the group as well, and on our website, on our Facebook page as well, and across our social media. I am so proud of you. Continue to let God use you. Continue to be that inspiration to women. Like I told you in the beginning, you are part of history. You are making history, my sister.
Man, I received that, and thank you so much for having me. You've been a blessing.
Oh, you are so welcome. So stay safe in your travels and stay healthy. God bless.
God bless.
Thanks to our special guests for joining the show today. Be sure to follow us on your favorite streaming channel so you don't miss a show. We can be heard on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and YouTube at Sista's Place. Visit our website, www.sistasplace.com, to learn more about us.